On this Sunday night, maintaining momentum. 1 week into the election campaign, opinion polling shows the Liberals leading and the Conservatives gaining support. The latest campaign promises and calls for Mark Carney to fire a controversial candidate. Trade war turbulence.
Europe trips are on the rise. People want to go to Portugal, Italy, Spain.
Flights to the U.S. are dropping dramatically, and not just from Canada. Plus, pickleball pain.
We're just seeing an increase in injuries.
The warning about a spike in injuries from the popular sport.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Kicking off the second week of Canada's federal election campaign, and new polling shows that the Liberals are firmly in the lead. The Ipsos poll conducted for Global News shows 44% of decided voters support Mark Carney's Liberals. That's up 2 points from polling conducted before the election call and is in majority government territory. Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives also climbed 2 points with 38% support. Those gains coming at the expense of the smaller parties, including the NDP, which has now dropped to 9% support. While the Liberal Party is ahead, there's still a month to go before Election Day. And this weekend, Mark Carney was keeping a low profile. Mackenzie Gray is following the Liberal campaign. Mackenzie.
It's been a quiet weekend on the Liberal campaign, Jeff. Only 2 events Sunday, neither open to the media.
Okay, bonjour tout le monde.
Saturday, Carney also only having one small event, opening his campaign office in the Ottawa area riding of Nepean. Carney's campaign has been slower compared to Pierre Poilievre, who's had an announcement and press conference every day. But despite that, Carney has taken substantially more questions from journalists. Global News tallied it up. Carney's taken 86 questions, Poilievre only 36. And the Conservatives handpick which media organizations get each question, something no other party does. One question the Carney camp has not answered, why he seems to be sticking with a Greater Toronto Area MP who suggested people attempt to claim a Chinese bounty on a local Conservative candidate. The Liberal incumbent in Markham Unionville, Paul Chang, told a Chinese language newspaper, "To everyone here, you can claim the $1 million Hong Kong dollar bounty if you bring Conservative candidate Joe Tay to Toronto's Chinese consulate." Tay, who's a Chinese democracy advocate, has an arrest warrant and a roughly $175,000 Canadian dollar bounty on him put there by Hong Kong police. Chang apologized on social media, saying the comments were deplorable and a complete lapse of judgment. Carney's media team did not respond to questions from Global News. The Carney campaign saying Chang apologized and has been clear he will stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Hong Kong. But the Conservatives want Chang dropped as a candidate.
I find it incredible that Mark Carney would allow someone to run for his party that called for a Canadian citizen to be handed over to a foreign government.
The furthest west Carney's gone so far is Ontario, Jeff, but that's expected to change this week, with the Liberals planning to go to BC and Alberta.
Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa. Thanks, Mac. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre was campaigning in Toronto. Polls suggest the Greater Toronto Area could once again prove decisive in this election. Poilievre announced another tax break, and he brushed off concerns about turmoil within the Conservative Party, pitching himself as the best choice to stand up to U.S. President Donald Trump. Our Kyle Benning is following the Conservative campaign. Kyle.
Jeff, Pierre Poilievre's campaign returned to Toronto, this time announcing a plan to address investment in Canada amidst a U.S. trade war.
The Conservative leader says under a Tory government, any person or business selling an asset will not have to pay capital gains tax if they reinvest in Canada. Poilievre adds the promise would offer an incentive to voters to keep their dollars at home and ensures the Canadian economy can hold up in a trade war against the U.S.
We need a change with a Canada-first government that will axe taxes, build homes, approve resources, bring home the hundreds of billions of dollars the Liberals have pushed out of the economy so that we can stand up to the President from a position of strength.
But Tory strategists are questioning how the leader is tackling the cross-border economic battle. Earlier this week, Ontario Premier Doug Ford's campaign manager, Corey Tenike, told Global News the party either has to react to Donald Trump or it will drown.
Now, this was just a quick trip to the GTA for Poilievre, but very likely not his last, with the region vital for a Conservative victory. He's set to hold 4 events in New Brunswick on Monday. Jeff.
All right, Kyle Benning in Toronto. Thanks, Kyle. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is campaigning on the West Coast, where he announced plans to provide first-time homebuyers access to low-interest loans from the federal government.
They'd be able to have affordable loans so they can actually buy their first home. If you think about it, just a 5% difference on an interest rate could save families as much as $9,500 over 5 years.
The NDP leader lamented that the government offers loans to wealthy developers, but not everyday families. Singh is campaigning in BC, where a number of NDP seats are now up for grabs in this election. Both the Conservatives and the Liberals are projected to make major gains in that province. The cost of living remains a major concern for voters in this election, and Canadians were asked which party they trust most to deal with their top issues. The Ipsos poll found that when it comes to voters' #1 concern, affordability, the Liberals and Conservatives are tied. Second on the list of priorities is Canada's relationship with the U.S., and voters overwhelmingly see the Liberals as the best option.
The Liberals are ahead of the Conservatives by 40 points on this question, 60-20. The NDP is not even in the game. If this is the ballot question, you can see what's going to happen.
And Mercedes Stephenson joins us now with more insights into week 1. Mercedes.
Jeff, the first week on the campaign trail was action-packed, with leaders fanning out to Newfoundland and Labrador and all the way back to Vancouver Island. We saw all three major parties' campaigns spend a lot of time in the Greater Toronto area, and that's because it's a vote-rich area on which elections are often won or lost. This was largely a strong week for the Liberals. Mark Carney determined the timing of the election. He's polling well, and he was able to look prime ministerial in a phone call with President Donald Trump. That call produced a rave review from Trump, who called Carney prime minister, not governor, which is what he used to call Justin Trudeau. Trump said he and Carney agreed on lots of things, and he essentially endorsed him to win the election. When the central ballot question for many Canadians is who is best to handle Canada's relationship with the U.S., that could give Carney a boost. How the tariffs play out for Mr. Carney this week will be informative. On to the Conservative campaign, where the polling numbers didn't do much for the Tories, but the turnout at their rallies was huge. Thousands of people coming to cheer for Pierre Poilievre. The Conservative campaign headquarters sustained some dings, though, this week, with senior party insiders criticizing the central campaign for being too insular and missing the moment, focusing too much on the cost of living and not enough on tackling tariffs. But if this turns out to be more of a change election than a Trump election, that strategy could still pay off for Pierre Poilievre. Finally, the NDP has been working hard, promising to stand up for workers, but they are continuing to bleed support to the Liberals. There are still 4 weeks left to turn this election around for them, Jeff, but it is certainly an urgent situation for Jagmeet Singh.
All right, Mercedes Stephenson in Ottawa. Thanks, Mercedes. And as Mercedes mentioned, President Trump's tariffs and threats are casting a long shadow over this election campaign, and they're also impacting tourism in the United States. New U.S. government data shows that air travel from Canada to the U.S. has plummeted since Trump's return to office. And as Heidi Petracek explains, it's not just Canadians who are skipping the States.
This picturesque inn in Nova Scotia's Annapolis Valley has seen an uptick in bookings. Americans looking to move to Canada.
People that are checking in, when we're having conversations with them, they are looking for residencies.
Other bookings from Europeans choosing Canada as a vacation destination. The Provincial Inns Association has taken note.
Through talking to a number of our other members, they have seen an increase in European bookings.
It seems the turbulent Trump presidency has sparked a shift in tourism patterns. U.S. government numbers show overseas visitors this past February compared to last year have decreased 2.4%. Visitors from France to the U.S. down more than 5%. Visitors from Germany down 8.5%. And when it comes to travel from America's closest neighbor, Canada, there's a change there too.
Europe trips are on the rise. People want to go to Portugal, Italy, Spain.
This travel agent has noticed more clients choosing locations other than the United States. The surge in Canadian pride, a response to Trump's threats of annexation, already decreased the number of drivers heading south of the border. Now there's a drastic drop in air travel between the two countries as well. Aviation analytics company OAG says airlines have reduced their peak summer capacity by 3.5%. That's up to 320,000 seats. and bookings for this April have plummeted 75% compared to the same time last year. The change in travel habits has forced some tour operators to alter course. One New Brunswick bus tour company canceled its U.S. shopping excursions due to lack of demand and the low Canadian dollar.
And now with the new election, new prime minister, probably will be settled, but it could be weeks and weeks and weeks.
Many travelers making their plans now, it seems, are favoring other getaways over Trump's United States. Heidi Petrocic, Global News, Halifax.
The cleanup is now underway in parts of Ontario, including the Toronto area, after a major ice storm that's now moving east. Crews are working to restore power after more than 380,000 homes lost electricity. The heavy rainfall turned to ice, bringing down power lines and trees. The system is now heading into parts of Quebec and Atlantic Canada, which are bracing for similar conditions into tomorrow. Pissed off at Putin, coming up. U.S. President Donald Trump changes his tune and lashes out at the Russian president. Myanmar has been hit by more powerful aftershocks 2 days after that devastating earthquake rocked the region. Incredibly, rescue crews pulled that resident and her child from a destroyed hotel near the city of Mandalay, the epicenter of the 7.7 magnitude quake. More than 1,600 people are confirmed dead, but that number is expected to rise, with many more believed to be buried in the rubble. U.S. President Trump is changing his tone against Vladimir Putin, telling NBC News by phone this morning that he is, quote, very angry and pissed off with the Russian president over Putin's approach to a ceasefire in Ukraine. Trump also threatened to impose heavy tariffs on Russian oil, and he accused the Kremlin of dragging its heels in negotiations to end the bloodshed in Ukraine. Trump's comments came hours after Russia launched another volley of drones overnight, striking a military hospital, shopping center, and apartment buildings in Ukraine's second-largest city. 2 people were killed and dozens more injured. Today is an important and normally festive day on the Muslim calendar. Eid al-Fitr signals the end of the fasting month of Ramadan. In Gaza, though, millions marked what some are calling the Eid of sadness, with dwindling food supplies and renewed fighting between Israel and Hamas. Candace Cole reports.
In a show of strength and resilience, Palestinians perform Eid prayers here alongside a destroyed mosque in Jabalia. Amid the rubble and destruction on what is supposed to be a joyous celebration, bringing an end to the fasting of Ramadan, as food and other supplies continue to be scarce. We perform the Eid prayer under all circumstance. Although we have martyrs, casualties, prisoners, injured, and killed, we still celebrate this great day for us. The occasion is marked by deep pain and sadness as Palestinians mourn their deceased loved ones and continue to live under the constant threat of Israeli airstrikes, which have killed dozens more Gazans this weekend, many of them women and children. I hope that our Arab and Muslim brothers who celebrate these rituals stand with us and feel for us. We are very tired. Shira Hanuna chose to spend the holiday at her brother's gravesite. I came to visit my brother on the first day of the happy Eid al-Fitr. It is happy for people, but not for me. It is not happy. It is not Eid. The Israel-Hamas war is now in its 17th month. Israel resumed attacks on Hamas on March 18th, ending a 2-month ceasefire after Hamas refused to release all of the Israeli hostages. Saturday, Hamas accepted a new proposal brokered by mediators Qatar and Egypt, the details of which are currently unknown. During the speech to his cabinet, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dismissed claims that Israel is unwilling to discuss the final stage of the ceasefire agreement. We are willing. Hamas will lay down its weapons. Its leaders will be allowed to leave. We will ensure general security in the Gaza Strip and allow the implementation of the Trump plan. U.S. President Donald Trump has called for Palestinians to be resettled in other Arab countries to allow for his proposed redevelopment of the Gaza Strip, something human rights experts say is likely against international law. Candace Cole, Global News, Washington.
The first flight of a German test rocket aimed at kickstarting satellite launches from Europe didn't go as planned. The unmanned rocket fell into the water and exploded less than a minute after takeoff. Still, the German startup behind the launch is calling it a great success, as it was the first orbital flight to originate from mainland Europe. The German aerospace industry is hoping to challenge American rivals, including Elon Musk's SpaceX. Still ahead, snotty-nosed Rez Kids. The First Nations rap duo is making history at this weekend's Juno Awards. U.S. President Trump's tariffs and threats against Canadian sovereignty are driving a wedge between Canadians and Americans, which is proving particularly painful for people who live near the Canada-U.S. border and whose businesses rely on the close ties between countries. One of those communities is Point Roberts, Washington, just south of the BC border and about an hour's drive from Vancouver. Our Neethu Garcha reports.
Beth Calder has spent 24 years building this parcel pickup service with her family. They hoped it would last for generations, but that dream has slipped away.
It's devastating to build something from the ground up, and it doesn't matter what I've done and what I've put myself through, that my own government has taken this from me.
Now set to close next month, she blames Trump's tariffs for a 75% decline in the business, which receives and holds packages for Canadians who shop online.
Thank you.
Calder says before the pandemic, point-to-point parcel had 11 employees, long hours and constant demand. People still shopped online during COVID. The business survived, but never fully recovered.
I think it's like 4 times worse than COVID, and it's come on so fast.
Born in Canada, now running a business in the U.S., Calder says it's not just policy, it's personal.
I'm 5th generation here of my family in Point Roberts, and it's hard to watch your community that you've lived in your whole life just start to crumble.
Her uncle, Brian Calder, is the former Chamber of Commerce president. He describes the unique relationship Point Roberts has with British Columbia.
5 square miles surrounded by water on 3 sides.
And on the 4th side, this Canada-U.S. border crossing.
Our economic activity is 90% driven by Canada. 70% of our properties are owned by, quote, foreigners, Canadians.
Like many Point Roberts businesses, Saltwater Cafe is feeling the pinch.
We've decreased quite significantly. Job loss, layoffs, hours are being cut.
With Canadians avoiding U.S. shopping and travel, Point Roberts may have an uncertain future, but this community is still standing by its Canadian neighbors, one flag, one bumper sticker, and 1 cup of coffee at a time. Neethu Garcha, Global News, Point Roberts, Washington.
In a pickle, why so many physiotherapists are reporting injuries on the court. We'll explain next.
Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Hey, big brain energy.
That track is off the album Red Future by Canada's snotty-nosed Rez Kids, and it just won Rap Album of the Year at last night's Juno Awards Gala. The duo from Kitimat Village in BC is the first Indigenous group to win in that category. Calgary's Tate McRae emerged as Saturday's big winner, nabbing 4 Junos in coveted categories. The ceremony was a precursor to tonight's main event. Well, when you think about highly physical or even dangerous sports, hockey or football might come to mind. But what about pickleball? The increasingly popular and seemingly low-intensity sport is seeing a spike in injuries. Jacqueline Cusey explains why.
These players really know how to serve up some heat in a pickleball match. It's a game described as low impact, but still, injuries are common.
If you see a number of people in shorts here, you'll notice tape on their knees, and that's just because it's quite easy to move and then you get a tear.
According to Pickleball Canada, in 2022, 1 million Canadians were playing, and as of January, that number has grown to 1.54 million, up 15% since 2024.
Just in line with the popularity of the sport, and we're seeing more people playing, more walks of life playing, young people, elderly people, and so yeah, we're just seeing an increase in injuries just due to the increase in population that are enjoying the game.
Injuries can range from overuse like pickleball or tennis elbow, knee, wrist or shoulder pain to more severe injuries like head injuries, ACL tears, Achilles ruptures or severe calf strains. Recovery from those can take weeks and sometimes put players on crutches.
I just simply turned my knee and it swelled up. It was swollen up for like a few days.
Biggest injury I've had is a black eye. A lot of people are now wearing safety glasses of some sort.
I guess the older you are, the more prone you are to a breakage.
But it's not just the older population. Emergency room patients Dr. Francis Scuddy sees are usually between 30 to 50-year-olds.
At the end of the day, the benefits of playing pickleball probably outweigh, the potential for an injury. But you have to listen to your body.
Physiotherapists say focusing on mobility, strength, and balance exercises and wearing shoes with ankle support can help prevent injury.
Getting it dealt with earlier than later always is a great way to, take maybe a little bit of an injury that's starting to kind of occur and stop it in its tracks before it becomes more of an injury.
And keep you in the game. Jacqueline Cusi, Global News.
And that is Global National for this Sunday night. I'm Jeff Semple. Tonight's Your Canada showcases Madoc, Ontario, Wynyard, Saskatchewan, and the Northern Lights near Airdrie, Alberta. Thanks for watching. Donna will be back with you tomorrow. Have a great night.